Coming up, Roman Reigns agrees with the IWC. Yes, that really happened.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. If you haven't done so, you know what to do. Subscribe by clicking down below. Turn the bell notifications on. Also, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Wrestling Realm, and we're on all podcast platforms. Folks, the Tribal Chief has spoken. He says he should have been a heel a long time ago in the WWE. How about that? Roman agrees with the IWC. So, I was watching Ryan Satin's show. He had Roman on there, the show. Of course, you know, Ryan Satin works for WWE, Fox, whatever. Cool job. Not gonna lie. Would love to have it. But hey, you know, shout out to Ryan. So he talked about that. He talked about Roman. You know, he talked with Roman, and Roman said initially when the Shield was together, they all thought that Seth Rollins should have been the babyface, and he should have been the one to turn heel. Now, I thought about that. Now, we're loving this heel run that Reigns is on. You know, when he came back at SummerSlam, wreck everyone and leave, that was his new t-shirt. It was a surprise. He comes in there, he disrupts he beats up Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman after Bray Wyatt becomes, or I should say the Fiend becomes the new Universal Champion. The next week they do another show, and then Roman becomes the champion, and he's been the champion ever since. But let's take a look. Let's go back in time. It was a night in May, I believe it was April 2014. I know the year. Seth Rollins hits Roman in the back with the chair shot heard around the world. Now, I would love to play that YouTube clip, but I ain't gonna lie. YouTube sometimes does this funny thing where they like take away my videos because I use the WWE clip. I'm pretty sure some people are getting away with it, but nonetheless, y'all know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, man, I remember that night. Everybody was left in shock. If you remember Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, when he was standing there and Seth hit Roman, he had that look that everybody had. And at that time, everybody felt this was the right move. A lot of people felt this was the right move, and here's why. When you go back to the initial Shield, it always felt like Seth Rollins was the one kind of left out from the big microscope of things. Now, the real Dwayne Allen's watching. He's probably saying no, right now at this point. And the truth is, if you go back in the Wrestling Realm archives, that being on the Facebook group, because this is the time when I had just moved to Connecticut, he brought up the fact, he kept saying, Seth Rollins, man, he's the guy. And I was like, what are you seeing? He said he's the one doing all the spots, all the dirty work. You remember the TLC match, that first match, where I believe it was Ryback, I want to say it was Ryback and Team Hell No, against the Shield, and Seth Rollins was the one doing all the hot spots. I was like, So you go back to that. You also go back to the fact that Rollins, at that time, even though that was happening, he was doing dirty work from the masses. Everybody was looking at Ambrose because he had this cult following from the internet, and then he was just kind of the one doing a lot of the talking. Obviously, he went famous and became a GIF. Nope. Then there's Roman. Roman just looks like $1 million. Everybody knew he was a part of the Anoa'i family, the lineage, and they just knew that he was the guy. You looked at him and was like, yeah, Vince is going to go somewhere with him. So when Rollins turned heel, it made sense. It set up one of the best heel runs in recent memory. You could make that argument. Like, Rollins, to me, has never gotten back to that great heel run that he had then. He went on to eventually win the Money in the Bank, later on becoming the WWE Champion. It was World Heavyweight Champion, and had a fun reign to watch until he had to vacate the belt due to injury. And when he got back to me, he never got that swag back. He would get going again. There's no doubt about that. But at that time, when you watch wrestling, a lot of times you see people and they have the championship. You'd be like, okay, he's had it long enough. I'm bored. Like Drew McIntyre may fall in that waves for some people, but that's how it was for Seth Rollins. Like, all right, man, this dude had the belt long enough. Can we get somebody else? But I look at it and I said, okay, let's look at what would have happened if Reigns would have turned heel at that time. I think it would have been interesting to see him paired along with Triple H in Evolution or just Triple H. But then again, you also look like he's bigger than Triple H. We saw what Triple H did to Batista, So how would that work? Would he have been looked at as another low-budget Batista? Just think about it. Not so much just because on the simple strength that Roman is bigger and is believable that he could easily beat Triple H, and he doesn't need mentoring. So I'm looking at it from that aspect. Now, Seth Rollins, considering let's say Roman would turn heel on Rollins, that would have set Seth Rollins up for a monster baby run. But at the same time, because it's so believable for him and Ambrose to just be a tag team, it would have been easy to throw them two, and they kind of got lost in the shuffle. Where Roman and Ambrose, they had this allyship. So it didn't really seem like it would have worked. So that's going from that aspect. Now, let's skip all that. I know I just gave you a whole scenario and we're going to skip over it. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button. Let's move forward. What if Roman would have turned heel? Let's just say, let's remove the Shield out of it. Just to say down the line, right? Or say he would have flipped the switch after the Royal Rumble. He wins the Royal Rumble. The fans boo him. You see on camera, Michael P.S. Hayes is very adamant about we're not changing plans for one night and because of one city. We're not going to change plans. But let's say he would have turned heel then. I think it could have worked. You make him arrogant. You see all this stuff. Now, the difference is now he has the work rate to go along with it. He has the experience. But if you'd have made him heel, I think he could have kind of drew a little bit of Baron Corbin heat in the sense of King Corbin, not old Baron Corbin. Old Baron Corbin, whatever, get him off my TV. King Corbin, however, you want to see him on TV because you want to see him get beat up. So it's different aspects of that. I think you make him Roman. I think if Roman would have been a heel, especially after that Royal Rumble, or just after he beats Daniel Bryan, he just turns heel on him. Daniel Bryan was the biggest baby face. After that comeback, he had to vacate the championship, and he kind of had this chip on his shoulder, which led to him getting that match with Roman at Fastlane. Imagine when Daniel Bryan said, "You better beat Lesnar," and Roman turned heel on him. Now, granted, Brock was the biggest heel, but, well, maybe the second, because if you really think about it, Seth was like his heat levels was rising when he was with the Authority, hence him cashing in. Yeah, people liked it, but he was able to maintain that heel persona. I would have, but let's just say Roman would turn heel and been a loner. Now, I understand at that time you had, McMahon and Helmsley, I should say Steph and Triple H kind of working together. So you wouldn't have paired him with them. But it wouldn't have been an anti-hero. So it might get a little complicated right there. But I think if you shuffle some things around, you would have made Roman Reigns a heel a long time ago. I think it would have been great. The only thing that would have got tricky is if he wouldn't have turned babyface by the time he got unfortunately, had to be sidelined due to leukemia. But with a full-time John Cena there, Roman being heel would have made so much sense. Because no matter what, Roman was never a bigger babyface than John Cena. Some people may think so. I don't think so. John Cena was always the guy. He was always number one. Even if both of them would have got booed. And, they did a great job in kind of like not bringing their paths together until it really counted. Now, Cena was also going out doing movies and stuff. But if you would have made Roman Reigns a heel first, there could have been big money to be made with Roman and John Cena. Then let's go to WrestleMania 33. You imagine if after Roman beat The Undertaker, he would have been disrespectful. Sure, he came out and said, "This is my yard now." Yeah, unfortunately, there's so many journalists that don't want to keep some things to themselves. And what I mean by this, there's a picture of Roman that surfaced of Roman sitting down in tears after his match with The Undertaker. But imagine Roman Reigns being that nasty heel coming off of that match with The Undertaker and him walking around just bragging on how bad he beat The Undertaker and he being the tribal chief. Man, that would have been good stuff. But I will say this. If we really want to be honest with ourselves, Roman being a baby heel right now, it makes so much sense because during an unprecedented pandemic, Roman being a heel works because it's something we've never seen before. And because of that, it makes WWE must-see television right now. Because when he came back at SummerSlam, you couldn't wait to see what would happen the next week. Then he wins the championship. Okay, wait, he's got Paul Heyman? Okay, let's see what happens. So now he's got Paul Heyman. He's got the championship. Where do they go? What's his explanation? And then Jey Uso gets involved. What's the explanation? And then that matchup that him and Jay had, all this during the pandemic, all this with no fans. They're still breaking the internet. They're still drawing money on Fox. So it all makes sense. It all came out the way it should have been. But man, it's so much fun looking back to see how things would have been if Roman Reigns would have been a heel first. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Hit the comments below. Let me know. Talk to me, folks. What do you think would have been when do you think would have been a great time to make Roman Reigns a heel? If you're on the podcast platforms, just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and throw it up there. If you at Wrestling Rome, it's in the bio, it's in the description of the show. But for those out there, tweet at me at Brian H. Waters at Wrestling Rome. Let me know, what do you think would have been Roman Reigns' heel time, his heel period? What would have been a great opportunity? When would have been a great opportunity to turn Roman heel? But ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Like I said, it's keeping it 100. That's what we're going to do here. We're going to talk about things, pick subjects. If there's something you want me to talk about, feel free. Hit me in the inbox, the comment section, tweet me. My DMs are open, so feel free to tweet me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to talk about. And you know what? The door's somewhat open. Definitely have some guests coming up. We got some guests lined up. So if you want to be a guest on the show, let's talk. Let's see if it's a good fit, and we'll get something going. Till the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. Remember, keep it 100. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.